Hello and welcome to the edition of Creating Connection, where we're going to talk about wisdom for wonderful women. It's interesting looking at who watches either the YouTube videos or listens to the podcast or reads my emails. And one of the things you're told to do is to create, an ideal client avatar, is to have someone in mind when you're producing and creating content. So it's not just me speaking to a void, it's a way of me connecting with someone I feel would really benefit from what I want to share. Because the aim of doing this is to be helpful. But when I find out who is actually listening and watching and reading, it's women of all ages. It's young single women, middle-aged women, women with kids, women without kids. So it prompted me to revamp what I'm doing with my newsletter a little bit and create what I call sprinkles. So sprinkles of wisdom for wonderful women. And the sprinkles take into account that we lead such cluttered lives, and to be able to connect with something that we can take away and integrate and make meaningful in the lives we're already leading is really powerful stuff. I know I appreciate coming across something that makes me think and pause and change how I look at things and do things, whether that's creating new habits by integrating new processes and systems and new perspectives that I've never thought of. So being inspired by others makes me want to share what knowledge I have, what wisdom I have. So today I just thought we'd talk a little bit about wisdom, but and in particular three aspects of wisdom. So first of all, wisdom isn't a construct that has heaps of support behind one definition and one theory. In the world of psychological investigation, it's not that old. We're still exploring, we're still researching, debating, discussing, what is wisdom? I'm giving you my version of my definition. And it includes a couple of facets. So one, it's based on experience. Now, that does not mean age. Okay. Some of the research shows that your wisdom actually increases till you're around your mid-20s, and then it plateaus. And when you're much older, it may actually decrease. Okay. And I think that's largely because of the other parts that go along with the experience. So it's not just experience, it's reflection, it's compassion, and it's action. So it's not just sitting here pontificating, it's making things happen, it's living it, sharing it, acting upon it, connecting with others, making change. And it's compassionate. So you can have all the experience and all the knowledge, but if you're an empty vessel, if you're just agitating for the sake of it, if your aim behind sharing your knowledge is, just to make money or, just to, progress and grow for the sake of it, you're missing the point. It's compassionate action, it's caring, it's connection. And the reflection part of it is the processing. It's, the looking at, the investigating, the searching for meaning. So it's all of those four things. Feel free to dive into it. It's a fascinating field to read about. But for our sake, it's those four things we're looking at. And today in particular, I want to take you through reflection. And three things to take into account with reflection. So time, space, and direction. All right, so let's start with space. And I'm talking mental and physical space for reflection. We all lead full lives. We all lead busy lives. And even if you're not frantically busy with work and raising children and, managing the household and building careers and all those things. That's one life, that's your physical life. And then we have this other life which runs along in the background, which is the digital world, your digital life. And that never switches off. That is available 24/7. So you're not just managing this world, you're also managing your relationship with this world. Not a lot of space in here for reflection, is there? And depending on your life stage, you'll also have additional challenges. If your children are young, that space to think for yourself can seem like non-existent because children are young. They want to be with you all the time. They want to be with you when you shower or go to the toilet or sleep. And some children don't. I am generalizing, but when you're a parent and you're in that stage, it can feel quite claustrophobic. No matter how much you love your kids, where is that space for you? So when I'm thinking about reflection, it's like where do we fit that in? So we have that physical space, and then you also have you have the mental space, and then you have the physical space. It's like, when do I, where do I do this? No, where's the space for me? How do I carve that out? Time. So let's look briefly, and we're just kind of looking at all these things in relatively quickly, and we can come back and explore them in other episodes as well. But so time factor. Not having enough time is one of the biggest reasons that people give for not being able to engage in self-care. And as I said, we lead these lives. We're trying to balance these two lives parallel, side by side. And time we can't deny that it is a factor. However, there's three main different ways you can factor in time for reflection. So one is the traditional, let's go off on a retreat, half a day, a full day, a weekend, a week, longer. And certainly when I was younger, a retreat at school, going on retreats were like, wow, probably my best school experiences by a mile. There is something truly magical about taking that space and time for yourself. However, it's not always practical. It's not always affordable. So luckily, there are two other main ways that you can do this. You can set aside a regular, time of the day or week where you can reflect, or you can integrate it into day-to-day practices. And I love this. So I love all those spaces, but the integration is amazing, and it's bringing mindfulness in, which is an aspect of reflection. And we'll go into the sorts of the different ways you can reflect. But the mindfulness fits so well with this integrating reflection into your life, because mindfulness is about intention, having an intention, doing something with intention. So it's really good for focusing on reflecting. Yes, so you can do it whilst you're doing other tasks in your life. You can practice reflection when you're doing the dishes. You can practice reflection waiting for the kids, when you're in the car before the bell goes. You can practice reflection walking. You can practice it hanging the clothes on the line or folding the clothes. So there's lots of different ways you can incorporate it into day-to-day life. Whether it's just a few minutes here and there, it's all part of picking something and then using your time the best you can. So, which brings us to, how do you pick a direction? What do you reflect on? How do you do it? All those things, lots and lots of questions. So let's look at how do you pick what to reflect on? So if we go back to the definition of wisdom and we're looking at experience, so you can choose to focus on your current experience. If you're operating from a space of overwhelm, you can start with that. So the reflection is based on your current experience. It doesn't have to be about the past. It certainly can be, look at that, but it can be about the here and now. What's going on now for you? What is a challenge? That thing that's challenging you the most, what is that telling you about? What do you need to know? What do you need to change? Is it something practically? Is it your mindset? Is it relationships? Is it building connection? Is it practicing gratitude? What do you need? So this core focus of what do you need based on your challenges, listening to that inner voice, that is a great way to develop your wisdom and your personal wisdom. Because coming out of that question, what do you need, is action. Yeah, whatever your body answers that you need, that is your action space. Other ways, if there mightn't be something particularly bothering you now, you might just want to, reflect more on your life and your life's experiences. So if that's the case, you can choose from a range of things. That might include written prompts, maybe from a journal that prompts that someone else has created for you. I have those prompts available in my daily journal. You can, if you'd like a link for that, let me know. You might have an inspirational calendar, a quote a day, a reflection a day. For some of you, that's looking at, could be Bible reflections. It could be looking at reflections of people who have, wisdom before you. I remember growing up, I really loved reading, different inspirational things that were just floating around. I don't even know where I got them from because it was pre-internet. I had, posters on my wall with inspirational quotes on them. So when I walked out the door, I'm thinking about that. I'm reflecting on that. I'm using that as a lens for my experiences. I have a quote here that says, today I'm choosing happiness. That's something I reflect on, and it reminds me of my choice to choose happiness. And how do I do that? What difference does that make to the life that I lead? You can get guidance professionally, therapists, counselors, coaches. That's one of the things we do, put questions out there for you to reflect on, give you a different perspective to reflect on, to process your experiences through. And if you, depending on what approach your therapist, coach, counsellor takes, you will have actions that go with that. With my clients, you nearly always have something you go away and do. There's an action involved. You can get direction for reflection, I know it rhymes, from alternative mediums like tarot cards, affirmation cards, dreams, something in your dream that keeps recurring. That is a great place to start with reflection and inner wisdom. You can get prompts from books you're reading, films you're watching, podcasts you're listening to, videos you're watching. You can get reflection from choosing a focus word or phrase. You say people choose a word for the year, and that becomes your intentional focus and can help you increase your wisdom in a particular area. I've been thinking about my word at the moment. This may change, so don't hold me to it. I've been thinking about choosing the word embrace for next year. That's a philosophical word, and that's come about through reflection on my experiences, my anxieties, my fears, all the things I know I haven't done in the past. And if you're anything like me, you've probably got a huge list of things you'd love to do. And, for one reason or another, life gets in the way. And, I mean, next year might be the year that embrace all those things, push aside those challenges and those obstacles and, savor and nurture and embrace all those experiences in a compassionate, directed way for the benefit of myself and others. Because this compassionate action, that's what it means. And we don't have to think of others as being the whole of the universe, the whole of the world, the whole of your community. I mean, others include family and friends. They include clients and colleagues, your neighborhood. And, as a parent, anything you do for yourself has a flow and effect to your family. So you can't help but impact those around you. And we want to come, as wonderful women, from a space of wisdom, for holding the good of others in our hearts. So taking you on a big full spectrum of different ways that you can get inspiration. And you might prefer, you can do one thing or another. You might choose a word for the year or a word for the month, and you might choose an inspirational calendar, or you might do your tarot cards once a week, wherever it comes from. And you will be inspired because it's speaking to an experience you've had. It's calling you to reflect on something you're feeling or you're felt, something you are holding within you that you that you've experienced. So we've looked at space. We have looked at the difficulties of balancing real world and 24/7 digital world, which keeps pulling you away. We have looked at when you have younger children and their demands. What I haven't touched on, I do want to say, is older children may be less constant in demands and needs. I don't like the word demands. I don't know why I'm saying that. But in their needs from you, but they're still very real. They may be less predictable, and they may be even bigger needs. So they're there, all everyone else's needs are there. And when you're single, your thoughts and needs can be consumed by relationships, friendships, choosing career, study path, social media. It doesn't matter what stage you are. Us wonderful women all have our unique challenges. And so that's space, so physical space. And also, regardless of your life circumstances, creating a habit such as choosing to be a reflective person and do reflection in your life involves creating space. You've got to fit it into your physical nature of living, as well as integrating it into your identity. So, readjusting how you think about yourself in your head involves space. Looked at time briefly, and we looked at different ways you can find direction. Then the last thing we'll talk about today, because there's a bit to think about here, is how. It's okay. It's okay to say, hey, let's reflect and, let's gather wisdom and tap into our inner wisdom. But how do I reflect? How's that process look like? You've told me I can fit it in here or do this or do that, but how do I do it? So I do want to state, if you're interested in a personal appointment, I would love to work with you on this. So, always reach out if that's something you think I can help you with. But here are some suggestions, and these can be varied. So when we think of reflection, yes, we might think of retreat, we might think of journaling. Both fantastic options. However, one, we don't all like to write, as wonderful a process as it is. And what are some, other doable options? Okay, you can draw. You can keep an art journal, or you can use another visual medium, a form of expression. So expression involves reflection, involves processing, understanding, and information. You might compose music. You might do another creative activity. You might dance it out. Whatever whatever way works for you. Talking aloud while doing a repetitive task. This is where, dishes or laundry might come into it. Thinking while walking. Fantastic. If you haven't checked out the Walking is Amazing podcast and you want the links for them, either check below, your Apple or Spotify list for creating connection, or reach out and I will send them to you. And also try and remember to put them in the notes for under this. Talking with others in a non-judgmental way. So we've said, yes, you can get this from counselling, coaching, therapists, but talking with friends or family, those that you trust. So you're not talking while you're watching your words, or you're not in fear of judgment, but you're using them as sounding boards. Talking with others, I've talked about that in a guided space. Meditation. When you meditate, you can reflect, you can choose a word, you can choose a focus word, you can see what comes up. This processing of information is through your body as well as through your thoughts. So there's a few options there, and I would love to know how you might choose to do your reflection. For me, it's often in the morning. I want to write. It might be after I'm walking. It might be during my walk. So there are different times of the day, which comes back to this time of where you fit it in as well. Phew, that was a lot. That was a lot about reflection as part of developing this wisdom and part of providing stronger connections within yourself. I'm pretty excited by it. It's accessible to everyone. All of us. We all have this capacity to develop wisdom within ourselves. It is not just an age thing. It's not just an experience thing. So it was experience, reflection, compassionate, and action. All those things. Okay. I'm going to leave it there today. And, I feel like you might want me to give you a prompt. But if you do, you know what? Email me and tell me. I love hearing from people who are watching or listening or reading my emails. If you're not on the Sprinkles of Wisdom email newsletter, check the show notes and they'll be there. The link will be there, and I would love to have you come and join me. Okay. Until next time, if you find this podcast interesting, albeit maybe a little bit all over the place sometimes, please share or write me a review. Gives me lots of lovely inspiration, juice. Shares it with others so they can all be part of this wonderful women community as well. Okay, guys, until next time, take care and we will chat soon.